My name is Wimpy Collins. I live in Alberton. I've been driving now for over 20 years, and it's so a pleasure to drive in South Africa. Our roads are good, they're getting better, so it's nice to drive in South Africa.
As much as things are looking up, Wimpy is concerned about traffic law enforcement in the country. He recently got the shock of his life when he discovered he had 5 questionable traffic fines.
I've never received so many tickets. I received 5 in a matter of 2 months. I've never received any notifications via post. If I didn't go onto the website and investigate myself, I wouldn't have known that I've got fines against my name.
This is the N1 South, the stretch of road Wimpy is said to have been speeding on.
If you look at the position of the camera and where they're allowed to trap, it's 2 different places. 2 of the fines I can't even go and pay. I need to appear in court, which is, for me as a law obeying citizen, very serious.
What needs to be corrected, understand?
But we found that Wimpy is not alone. Rachel is counting the cost of driving on South Africa's roads.
Every time I open my box, there's a ticket. No matter how much I try to adhere to the speed limit, I still get the tickets. Sometimes the same place 2 times, and I've got proof of that.
This is one of the duplicated fines that Rachel has had to pay twice. It's amazing how traffic cops were able to measure the speed here, considering 2 vehicles appear in the same picture.
The only thing that I actually suspected was wrong was just the fact that it's the same ticket that I paid twice. But other than that, I don't know. I just look at it and I think, okay, another ticket. And when you go and try and query, that is the most annoying part, you know. Then they start to be defensive, arrogant.
This is the same ticket issued twice with a different, what you think is happening here?
Something that I know for sure, this is not right, you understand? Is it fraud? I don't know.
You never have questions about.
But she has had to pay, despite the fact that this was clearly a mistake. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, another motorist is reflecting on the fines he got early this year.
All 4 of them were on the same day, within 5 minutes of each other. This immediately sparked my interest, and I said, but surely something's not right. And if you look at the distances according to a GPS or a map, they're about 4 kilometers apart. I then did a calculation and said, well, if I do 4 kilometers in the 7 seconds that they're claiming that I did, what speed would I have been doing? And it turned out that I was doing 2,057 kilometers an hour.
When Michael queried the validity of the fines, one of the contractors within JMPD replied.
The response I got from TMT services after pressurizing them, they said to me, according to the law, there's no legal requirement for them to synchronize their cameras. They don't have to prove that it was exactly 8:06 in the morning because their cameras don't have to be synchronized. You know, there's something wrong there. In any legal process, the time and date of anything is paramount. Nothing is more important than accurate time and date. Previously, you know, like everybody at the moment, you receive a fine and you say, oh, well, I got another fine, just pay the 500 bucks, pay the 200 rand. Now, if I receive a fine, it's automatically in my head, I need to have a look at it. I need to see, what am I being fined for? Because very often we're getting fined and we're paying for these things and we don't actually know what's going on. We don't know if we're being fined for something that's valid or if it's completely fraudulent.
An NGO fighting for the rights of motorists is investigating these claims, including Wimpy's case.
The previous program has brought a lot of extra people to us and extra cases of fraud and extra cases of wrongdoing. On the 9th of September of this year, 2009, we received an email from a chap by the name of Wimpy, and he listed 5 infringements that he had received. And one of them was particularly interesting, and it was one where they stated that the site was on the N1 South at Canada Road Bridge. Now, we all know that Canada Road Bridge has not had grass for at least a year now. You see this grass over here, okay? And here are the GPS coordinates that I was referring to. Now, we take that and we have a look at the GPS coordinates, we see that the vehicle was traveling on the N12 East, okay, at Rancho Road Bridge, okay,
So
as
are
opposed
they
to
taking
N1.
the split?
That's correct, they're taking the split. And we can see exactly where the camera was.
GPS coordinates imprinted on the fine show that JMPD's speed camera was located at a totally different location from where Wimpy was at the time.
377 infringements by 16:34, in other words 25 to 5 in the afternoon, and we calculate that at 50% discount. That particular camera made 282,750 rand on that particular day out of fraudulent traffic fines. However, if you calculate that over a period of 30 days, it works out to 8,482,500 rand.
Which contractor can we say? Can we name and shame them?
Yes. The contractor here was TMT Services. End of story.
TMT Services is one of 3 contractors that provide cameras to JMPD. They also run this ticket sorting and issuing centre. They get R39.50 per ticket issued. With more and more cases of illegal traffic fines coming to their attention, Justice Project SA has launched a fraud and criminal complaint against the JMPD. Bessie is tasked with collecting the evidence.
The speed limit 100, the recorded speed 120 according to the notice given. Here the DPP has said that no authority for the direction north, as per the Metro printout, the authorised direction was south only.
But then they were trapping.
And they were trapping north. I mean, all the proof is in here. I've got the copies of everything, because here again it says to us Athol Oaklands on the same letter, M1 direction south.
This stretch of road, referred to as the N12 East in the south of Johannesburg, is one of the centres of contention. The road runs parallel to the N1 South at some point.
They had their camera set up between 2 freeways, and what they did is they pointed the camera at the freeway where the speed limit was 120 kilometers an hour instead of at the freeway where the speed limit was 80 kilometers an hour, and they zapped everybody who was doing the legal speed limit or even below and fined them for that.
In this picture analysis, this vehicle with the Amcor barrier on its right is on the N12 East, but logged as if it's on the N1 South by the JMPD. Video evidence further reinforces the point. So why did the JMPD say this vehicle and many others were on the N1 South Diepkloof interchange?
You've got a different interpretation of the Diepkloof interchange that I might have. Then we go to an engineer and he might have a different matter of opinion. But at the end of the day, we must be seen that we are complying with the TCSP guidelines, and that is what we are currently trying to do to the utmost.
Making up the excuse that the way we interpreted it just doesn't make any sense. If I say to you, you are an idiot, okay, it means you are an idiot. It doesn't mean you can interpret that as me saying you are a genius.
This Google Earth map shows the location of the camera on the N12 East. Point 1 here is the N1 South Highway. Point 2 shows the N12 East. Point 3 is the location of the camera just between the 2 highways. The Diepkloof interchange is 2 km further down.
We took the lead as the interchange is the lead word. Now, if you say it is the N12 East, if you're on the N, you are still traveling south. You're not close to the N12. And we will debate this for hours, because you've got your interpretation, I've got mine.
For interest's sake, let's take another look at the highway referred to. Here, the N12 East can be seen splitting and running parallel to the N1 South for about 500 meters, way before the Diepkloof interchange.
At the point where we had the camera, the persons were still traveling in a southern direction. They were not on the N12. So I'm not going to comment it. It is something that has been dealt with. I can't give you a better explanation.
However, further evidence shows that the speed limit here is 120 km per hour. So how did the JMPD get it so wrong?
Over a period of 30 days, 1,000 rand per fine, that works out to 30 million rand.
Those tickets will not be cancelled, because at that point in time we had the clear indication, the way we interpreted the guidelines, by the word interchange, that we were correct at that time.
The site approval list from the Director of Public Prosecutions only allows the JMPD to trap vehicles at over 130 km per hour. Why JMPD opted to trap at a spot 1.8 km away is anyone's guess. What we definitely know is that when complaints started coming through, JMPD was ordered off the site.
Whether they were on the N12 East or whether they were on the N1 South made no difference. Their authorization was still for trapping at 130 kilometers an hour, not at 90 kilometers an hour.
Why were you removed there?
Because the DPP felt that there was a misinterpretation of the site location that we were given. She didn't say we were wrong. Remember, it is the DPP's personal choice to either approve, and a lot of the sites we apply for gets disapproved. And it doesn't say we are wrong.
If you are removed after people complain, then something is wrong.
No, that is your interpretation, sir. It is not my interpretation.
However, since our first program, the JMPD has been forced to launch an internal investigation into the issue, the results of which are still pending.
We don't really think it's important for the JMPD to investigate themselves. That's very much like going to a rapist and saying, investigate yourself for rape. I think what one needs to realize is that the charge of fraud cannot be brought unless somebody has actually benefited from the crime. And it is very safe to say that the JMPD has benefited from the crime because a lot of these fines have been paid.
As the bickering at the top continues, it's motorists who are left to bear the brunt.
Surely, yes, they need to do law enforcement. They need to make sure that everybody obeys the law. But now, how can I trust them further going forward now that they're trying to make money out of me?
Is driving in South Africa affordable? Because what I've actually noticed is that every time I'm on the road, I earn myself a speed ticket. So my argument is that I pay tax, I pay my disc, I pay my license, and every time I'm on the road, I've got to pay for that as well. Because definitely, my conscience is telling me that it's not for the speed.
When I receive speeding fines where there is clearly something wrong, I feel, why should I be victimized? Why should I have to pay for it? Why should I pay for somebody else's mistakes?
Since your complaints.
Okay.
So you can see the pattern is still coming from 2008 when you're dealing with this.
That's right. It's still the exact same pattern. Yeah. Now, the DPP authorization reads direction north between Tamarisk and Lobelia, okay? Under Lobelia streets, at the big trees next to the townhouses, 200 meters from John Forster Road. Okay. The motorist here was traveling south, which means this is definitely an illegal one. I've got the original sort of image obtained from the metro offices in Randburg.
So you can see exactly that
Exactly, I've been to the site. I went to go and have a look at the exact spot where he was trapped. He was definitely trapped in a south direction. This happened on the 8th of May.
South Africans rank among some of the worst drivers on the continent. Over 900,000 accidents are recorded on our roads annually.
South African motorists are complete and utter lunatics as far as I'm concerned. If I had my way, a couple of things would happen. First off, I'd withdraw everybody's driver's license and make them do their test again. Okay. Secondly, I would put speed limiters into every single car, allowing no car to travel at a speed in excess of 120 kilometers an hour.
Speed camera enforcement has become a R1 billion industry across the country. Traffic authorities like the JMPD make up to 100 million per month.
Whilst it's still financially motivated, there are still going to be lots and lots of people who can afford to pay. And there are still going to be lots and lots of people who can afford a number plate for the back of their car that doesn't actually belong to them, so that someone else gets the fine. And we are still going to come across people who just remove the number plate off the back of their car.
I think the public have got away for too long. But if they get a prosecution in the post box, tear it up and throw it away.
The attitude of speed is okay, or speeding and reckless driving is okay, has got to change. Okay, but it's not going to change if you're hiding away in bushes and hanging out of trees, Mr. Genica.
The Road Traffic Management Corporation argues that the answer is in the recently enacted legislation known as the ARTO Act.
ARTO is one of the best systems that this country has ever had. Why I'm saying that? With the previous systems that we had, if a traffic officer has made a mistake on the ticket, it won't be picked up. It will still be processed up to the end of where you have to get a warrant of arrest.
We want ARTO to succeed, not to fail. Okay. We think the idea of having a points demerit system in this country is a good one, provided that every check and balance is in place, that every system is in place, that you can't have duplicate fines getting issued to people, that people don't lose their driver's licenses for nothing, and similarly that people don't get driver's licenses for nothing.
The big challenge that we believe will change the face of policing in South Africa is the fact that you will not be able to get your license disc or be able to renew your driver's license if you have got any outstanding fines on the system that you have totally ignored like in the past. If you don't go and fetch at the post office, it is presumed that after 10 days you did receive the letter, and we will go forward. Now that, I believe, will change the face and will force the people to comply with the Act.
But just how much do the Metro cops themselves know about the speed camera operational rules known as the TCSP guidelines?
Can I ask you a question? TCSP, what's that stand for?
TS transport what? Yeah, oh, okay.
You know what the TCSP is? You've been trained with this. What does TCSP stand for?
I'm convinced to say that training was provided. But one needs to say that, notwithstanding the training, we have to acknowledge that we are still identifying a lot of mistakes from the law enforcement agency. And there are some interventions that we are putting in place.
We've made the suggestion that fines be given different types of penalties, i.e. that when a person is caught speeding, they are stopped, they are tried at the side of the road by a magistrate, and they are being given the opportunity to either accept a fine and pay for it, and community service.
Money, you know, so plus 100 rand. So, I mean, it's not all, and we are already at 2,875.
And this is what you have already paid.
My point, exactly.
Including the discounts.
I was getting to that. There's 3,000. That's another one. Oh, yeah, there are 2 tickets here, so I paid with a card. That's 500 rands. 3,500 all in all. The reason apparently for so many cameras on the roads is that they were trying to curb the accidents. They are still the same, if not more. If anything, I feel exploited. People feel exploited. It's not only me who feels this way.
Speaking to friends and colleagues and things who've, you know, everybody's received speeding fines in their lives, and you speak to them and you say, well, if you receive a speeding fine for 200 rand or 500 rand or whatever it is, does it change the way you drive? And they say, no, I pay the speeding fine and I carry on with my life. It doesn't make a difference to people.
If you've got a ticket, go investigate further. Make sure that you know what your rights are.
When one gets a camera-based fine, make sure that there is actually a photograph for it. Okay, because a lot of times people have been paying fines based on no photographic evidence at all. Secondly, have a look that it is definitely your car. There are multitudes of cars that have false number plates. Lastly, have a look that everything that is supposed to be on that fine is on that fine. Specifically in Joburg and Tshwane, you need to make sure that it's been issued by an officer who has an infrastructure number. If that's not on there, it's not a valid fine. Do not pay it. Okay, go and dispute it.
As Justice Project South Africa awaits results on its complaint against the JMPD, the culture of impunity on our roads continues.